Okay, so we're now at the Giver chapter 12. Jonas wakes up in the morning and his mother says no dreams, and he said he slept very soundly. So he's not really lying, he's just not telling her about his dreams. His mother says, well, I wish she wishes Gabriel would sleep like him. He's fretful at night. Okay, so this child is not calm at all, and we'll learn more about him a bit later on, the baby, because he's going to have a role in the story. He remembers that he has a dream, and it's about him going on I think he dreams of being on a sled, and he dreams that he's heading somewhere and he doesn't know where. He wakes up with a feeling that he wants to reach something in the distance. Okay, he wants to get somewhere, and it makes him feel good. But he just didn't know how to get there. This is also going to be very significant later, because this idea of going somewhere, of the what is beyond the community, what is out there. Okay, so he tries to get rid of his leftover dream and get ready for the day. In school, he feels that things are different. Everybody's really excited about their work and their training, and they're sharing their experiences. He's not allowed to share. And even if he wanted to share, he wouldn't know how, because now he's experiencing things that no one else has experienced. He doesn't know how he can describe a sled, and how he can describe a hill, and how he can describe snow, and he can describe something really cold. He doesn't know how he would do it. So even with all the precision of language, nothing is going to help him. You can't describe something to somebody who's never experienced it. Then he meets with Fiona, and things are complicated there as well, because there are things that he can't tell her. Why is he late? Why did he finish his work late? She's expecting him to tell her about his first day of training, but he just doesn't. He pushes the conversation to her, and she says there's a lot to learn, and she tells a few things. There's things that go on in the House of the Old, and apparently that they have a punishment wand as well. Fun. Not just the little 3-year-olds, but also the old people get smacked if they do things wrong. And then he says goodbye to her, and as he's looking at her, he sees something really weird going on. He has this experience of seeing beyond the same thing that happened to him in the auditorium, the same thing that happened to him with the apple. Okay, this time it had been Fiona who had undergone the fleeting, indescribable change. Fleeting means very quick, passes very, very quickly. He's trying to recreate it. It's not Fiona, it's just her hair. Something has happened. So he now quickly goes to the annex, and the giver's a little bit annoyed with him because he's a minute late. And then he says, well, actually, I'm the reason why I'm late is because something happened, and I want you to tell me about it. And he tells about this seeing beyond experience, what happened with her hair. And he told us also about the apple and what happened in the stage. And the old man asked him a question. When you were on the sled yesterday, did you look around? Did you look at the sled? And he says, well, I don't remember seeing the sled. I just remember feeling it. And then the giver says, well, when I was observing you before the selection, I perceived that you probably had the capacity, and what you described confirms that capacity. For what? It happened somewhat differently to me. Okay. So he says when he was a new receiver, he also experienced things differently in a new form. Okay. So he says, I think I can guess what's happening to you, and we're going to do a little test. So he lies him down, and he recalls the memory of the sled, and he says, well, Jonas, you recall the memory of the sled, And he says, Jonas says to him, well, why aren't you supposed to give it to me? And he says, no, it's your memory now, because once the memory's been given, it belongs to Jonas. And he looks for it, and he's sitting back on the sled again. And he notices that the sled has the same mysterious quality that the apple had so briefly. What we're looking at, and Fiona's hair, sorry. And it didn't change, it simply was. He opens his eyes and he says, yeah, I saw it. And then the man explains, you are beginning to see the colour red. And now the giver has to explain to him that there are colours. Yes, there are lots of colours in the world. And your friend Fiona, she has red hair, quite distinctive. And you noticed her hair. And then he says, what about the faces of the people? He says, no, flesh isn't red. It has red tones in it. So that's why when he looked at the audience, something changed. He saw that there was red tones in their face. And that's why he noticed the colour of the apple, which was red. Okay. So the giver laughs and says, we never completely mastered sameness. I suppose the genetic scientists are still hard at work trying to work the kinks out. Hair like Fiona's must drive them crazy. And Jonas says, he doesn't understand. He says, and the sled, it had the same colour, the colour red. It didn't change, giver, it just was. And the giver says, well, that's because of the memory when the colour was. Okay, the colour doesn't exist anymore. And Jonas again says, I wish language was more precise. The weather was, the red was so beautiful. And the giver tells him that he now sees everything all the time. He sees all the colours, and Jonas will see colours eventually. The capacity to see beyond means the ability to see colours, as well as lots of other things. And Jonas again wants to know, why did the colours disappear? And the giver says, our people made that choice, the choice to go to sameness. And this was a long time ago, right? We relinquished means we got rid of colour when we relinquished sunshine and did away with differences. Okay? We gained control of many things, but we had to let go of others. This is very important, okay? When you control, that means you don't allow things to just be or to be independent. You pay a very big price for control. And that includes controlling anything at all. It's a discussion in itself. Jonas says we shouldn't have, because he's seen the beauty of colour. And the giver says, you've come quickly to that conclusion. It took me years. Maybe your wisdom will come more quickly than mine. And then he says, quick, you've got to lie back down. We're running out of time. And Jonas asks him, how did it happen to you when you were becoming the receiver? You said that seeing beyond happened to you, but not the same way. And he says, and the giver won't give him an answer. He says, I'll tell you another day, but now we must work. Now he's going to give him something that's going to help him learn colour. He's going to give him the memory of a rainbow.